In this video, I'm talking about a new DeFi technology that has the potential to bring more tradfi activity on chain, and that is Pyth Network's new Pyth Lazer price feeds, which update every millisecond. This is extremely powerful because it puts on-chain applications on par with those off-chain. Two of the biggest trends I always talk about on this channel are, first, more assets moving on-chain, and second, more crypto activity moving from centralized exchanges to DeFi, and Pyth Lazer makes both of those possible. Before we get into the video, a couple of quick disclaimers. First off, this video is not financial advice and not a suggestion you invest in any particular token. Second, I am an ambassador for Pyth Network, which produces this product. I try to only work with the best partners on this channel, and I consider Pyth to be one of them. Now let's get into it. To start, let's talk a bit about what Pyth is, services they offer, and that will help give important context to what this advancement means. Pyth is a blockchain oracle similar to Chainlink, and they provide reliable, low latency market data from institutional sources. That's from their website. And they have it for crypto, for equity, for Forex, and for commodities. And one of the ways that Pyth really stands out is they offer it real time. They offer market data with low latency, and they offer it extremely quickly, which is why Pyth is the main oracle used on networks like Solana and Sui. If we hop over to DeFi Llama and look at the total value secured on Pyth, you can see that it's grown substantially over the past few years, and this growth corresponds with the growth in the networks that it's on, which it's on many networks. In fact, it's on I believe over 90 blockchains, 470 apps, 600 data feeds, and 130 million updates per day. But its growth has really been bolstered by the networks that it's on, growing Solana, Sui, etc. And you can see here all the applications. Again, it's many. It is a few hundred applications, and it's second only to Chainlink in terms of the number of applications secured. You can see here that Chainlink has 415 protocols secured. Pyth has 250. And in terms of total value secured, it's at just under $8 billion. Another important thing, and this is relevant to what we'll talk about in a minute, Pyth has the most perp-dex volume secured. Over the past 30 days, it's secured $42 billion in perp-dex volume, compared to 35.8 billion on Chainlink, 35.177 billion on Edge. That's only one protocol. And then this internal 191 billion is different because that's each protocol having their own internal oracle. So as far as oracles that are used by other protocols, it has the most perp-dex volume secured. Another distinguishing feature about Pyth is that they have first-party data. So a lot of major financial institutions, including many TradFi ones, so some of the world's biggest exchanges, market makers, trading firms, actually publish data directly on Pyth Network. You can see some of these firms here on their website. And then another thing that is, I think, interesting is that they have every feed on every chain. So they've got 600 feeds, and they're all available on 90 plus blockchains at the same performance. And that's part of why you've seen Pyth become extremely popular on some of these newer, fast-growing blockchains. That and the fact that these high-throughput blockchains need a accurate, high-frequent data, and Pyth offers that. But many people think Pyth is, for example, Solana only. It's not. It's also on EVM, and it's also very popular on Sui. And that's Pyth Network now. So what is the difference with this new Pyth Lazer product, and what's the implication of it being offered? Let's take a look at the differences between Pyth Core, their previous offerings, and then new Pyth Lazer. So Pyth Core, stable, secure, and decentralized price data source for a broad spectrum of DeFi or TradFi applications. So when you think of oracles, Pyth Core is basically what you would think of as an oracle. Pyth Lazer is a permission service focused on ultra low latency price and market data for high latency sensitive users. So it's permissioned, and it's no longer as decentralized. They sacrifice some of the decentralization. However, in return, whereas Pyth Core is 400 milliseconds, which is already really fast, by the way, Pyth Lazer is now 1 millisecond real time, 50 milliseconds, or 200 milliseconds. And so basically, it's able to offer close to or essentially real-time data, which makes it actually competitive with centralized exchanges and tradfi applications. And we'll talk about why this is important in a minute. Pyth Core aggregates price and confidence intervals, whereas Pyth Lazer has additional data types of bid-ask prices as well as customizable market data. And then some of the other changes are a bit more technical, such as 100 byte proofs instead of 1000 byte proofs, and simple signature verification. And then again, it sacrifices some of the decentralization, so it's a specialized and permissioned solution for protocols prioritizing performance over some elements of decentralization. All right, so what does all this mean? What's the implication? Basically, the big takeaway from all this is speed. It's extremely fast, the fastest oracle on the market now, and it's fast enough to make it competitive with centralized exchanges and tradfi offerings. And that's really important for, say, applications like perps or algorithmic trading, that if you're even a few milliseconds behind, or you're half a second behind, that's you're losing money. You're not going to be competitive, right? And that's one of the barriers that's prevented more perp trading from moving on chain, as well as certain types of financial firms from being able to transact on chain. So with Pyth, they will be able to, and already you have a number of Pyth protocols integrating it. Perp futures, high frequency trading, any system with extraordinary latency requirements. And one of the things that makes this so powerful is that perp DEXs are already one of the fastest growing verticals within crypto. If you look at the weekly perp DEX volume, you can see that we just recently had an all-time high. And even with the market dipping over the past few weeks, perhaps in part because it's dipping, but perp DEX volume has still been near all-time highs, completely dwarfing 2021 and 2022, and actually still higher than it was at its peak earlier this year. And despite this extraordinary growth, perp DEX volume has, at least until this week, been a very small portion of all perp volume. Most perp volume is still on centralized exchanges. You can see that in January it was around 10.4%, in December 9.9%. The past couple of days, which have been extraordinary, have seen it closer to 60%, but I expect that this will retrace at some point. But basically, despite this growing, it's still a small proportion, and products like Pyth Lazer should make these offerings on par with centralized exchanges. And if I can go out and be bold with a prediction, I think that, say, 1 to 2 years from now, we'll see that nearly or as much perp volume is happening on DEXs as centralized exchanges. Just the trend is clear, and the product offerings are now on par with centralized exchanges, in part because of better oracles like Pyth and Pyth Lazer. A few quotes about this. Tim Wu, the head of DeFi at Wintermute, said, "Latency continues to be the primary barrier preventing institutional grade finance from thriving on chain." And then Jordi Alexander, CEO of Selene Capital, said, "As DeFi performance converges with TradFi, speed is becoming the most critical factor in trading and on-chain finance." Yeah, so the main takeaway from this is basically it's fast, and it's fast enough to actually make on-chain applications competitive with both centralized exchanges and TradFi applications. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Pyth Network, and if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.